If it's old, throw it away? No way. We'll talk about that today on Bible Time. Hello again, everyone, and thank you for joining me for Bible Time. Well, this past week has been quite unique. You know, a lot of times God will bring things to me in patterns, and He'll help me see these patterns, and it turns into Bible Time more times than not. But this past week, it's been about things that are old. It really started with a comment that I saw on Facebook that says, I've heard this one before many times. You know, the Bible's old, you can't rely on it. But this other person said, it's been rewritten so many times. Where did they get that information? Because I'll tell you, the Bible that I read was written, in the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth. That was written by Moses some 4,200 years ago, and it hasn't changed a single word. So I know what they're saying. There's different versions. Here's the Tyndale, the Geneva Bible, the King James Version. Then there's the NIV, the NASB, the Modern English Bible, the Living Bible, and the list goes on and on and on. I don't know how many translations there are. We should be thankful there are so many translations because, yes, I may say I ran a race, okay? But you might say I participated in a 5K. Another person might say I died when I tried to exercise today. They might be all talking about the same thing, but we're saying it in different ways. So that's why the different translations, they're saying the same exact thing, but they're putting it in different language so that different people can understand it. So anyway, I just had to get that little bit out, but it got me in appreciating old things, okay? I have right in my hand here a Bible that is, I'm going to guess, I don't know, probably 250 years old, or I'm sorry, 150 years old. Let me think here. It's old. It's from the Civil War. Anyway, when you open it up, it says, George Gray carried this through the Civil War, given by his wife Corlista. And it's kind of starting to fall apart a little bit too, as you can see there. So I got to be very careful with it. I mean, hey, if you were over 150 years old, you'd be kind of falling apart too. Yeah, not 250, 150. So anyway, 160. But this Bible was carried by a relative of mine through the Civil War. And a tradition in my family is that each generation it gets passed down to another person. My grandmother had this Bible and she passed it down to me before she passed away. So I'll give it to either one of my children or one of my grandchildren. That remains to be seen. But it's just something that has been passed down, a family heirloom. And, you know, if you study the Civil War times, you'll see a lot of people carried Bibles like this. So, yeah, it's pretty old. But sometimes when things are old, they carry more wisdom. They carry more knowledge. They have more experience. But we shouldn't just chuck them out. Another thing that came up this week was a deed. From 1868, the deed for the church where I'm a pastor, it's handwritten. It is a handwritten deed. I don't know why that just shocked me, because what else would it be? They didn't have computers back then, but the person who showed it to me said they did have printing presses back then. That is true. That could have been printed on a printing press. But anyway, it just made me appreciate the value of something that is old. Because even though that thing was from 1868, it still has meaning. It still has purpose. It still has extreme value. If you think about someone who's 100 years old, they still have a lot to offer. They can tell you about the Depression times. If they're 100 years old right now, then they probably were very young during the Depression, but they can still tell you about those times, the Great Depression. There is value in things that are old. We shouldn't just chuck them out. But unfortunately, we have become a nation in a world that is what my dad used to refer to as a fast food world. We got to have it fast, and then we just throw it away. If something breaks down on your car, do you get it fixed or you go get a new one? A lot of times people will just go get a new one. If something breaks on your computer, you might try to get it fixed or you just go get a new one. But we throw away things way too quickly. So I want to ask us today to take time to reflect on the old things, and especially our memories. Because God also brought something else up to me this week. A traumatic event that I was in when I was a child, when I was 10 years old. So it's been 42 years now. And I never really stopped to think about how that traumatic event, I was in a car that was on fire. Okay, I almost died in a car that was on fire when I was 10 years old. But he's been showing me how that has affected me in good and bad ways throughout my life. So take time to spend some time with God and say, God, show me the old things. Show me the things that are still important. As a person who grew up in the 80s, I absolutely love when a good song comes on the radio from the 1980s, like Living on a Prayer or Don't Stop Believing. And, I find that times there's kids these days that are singing it. And I'm thinking, wow, I wonder if I did that to my parents. Oh, yeah, I would used to sing Rockin' Robin, and they thought it was funny because it was a song from their childhood. But what I'm getting at is spend some time with God to talk about the old things. Both the things that you can learn from, like old documents, old gravestones. It's kind of neat to walk through a graveyard and see that someone passed away in the 1700s. I can't even fathom that. But it keeps memories alive, and it gives us an opportunity to talk to God. Say, God, who was this person? What did they do? And see if God will give you the answer. But also ask him, what in my past do I need to bring up? What do I need to deal with? What do I need to let go of? What do I need healing from? God, let's talk about the old things. I'm telling you, you won't be wasting your time talking about the old things, because things will come to mind. Sins will come to mind. Sinful habits that you've had in the past will come to mind. And God will help you take care of them. I saw another thing on Facebook where someone posted that said, even though you think you may be healed from that old habit, Satan doesn't give up. But if you take that to God, he will help you overcome that. You can be healed from so many things of your past. It can be done. So appreciate the old things and talk to God about them and see what it can do to change your life. That's your Bible time for today. I hope you enjoyed it. I'll talk to you again all real soon. God bless.